Oh, great. We're doing it. All right, guys. Welcome to our Thursday book launch. And tonight we have Claudine Nash. I'm super excited. My name is Malika Aldrich, and I am the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild. We are open for submissions. I always forget to say that. Karen, you always remind me. And now I'm actually remembering what a weird night. I should probably play the lottery. But so if you have a poem that has been rejected elsewhere, we'd love to see 3 to 5 poems of yours. We only take rejects. And I'm going to jump right in to get to the main thing that we all came here for, which is to see Claudine. In case y'all don't know, she is an award-winning poet who lives in New York City. And obviously, in the beginning of the pandemic, as a therapist, she has a Ph.D. in clinical psychology and works inpatient. She had to deal with a lot of that major surge when New York was was a horrible hotspot. I'm really glad that you're here. I know that that had to have been a stressful thing, but we are here to celebrate something really amazing that happened during the pandemic.
Yes.
Now you have 2 full lengths and 3 chapbooks. So this is your 6th book.
So with this one, it's 3 full lengths and 2 chapbooks.
Okay, I was getting them wrong. Yeah. So, but anyhow,
I had to stop and think.
No, that's an awesome problem to have. She won the 2020 Blue Light Press Award, and the book is Beginner's Guide to Loss in the Multiverse. And we are so thrilled. I'm going to just jump in. I do want to say, if you want to buy the book, you can go to Amazon or Blue Light Press. Right now, Claudine, because she works still in the hospital, doesn't have the time or the wherewithal to be getting to and from the post office. So maybe at some point when those such things are possible, we can go somewhere and have her sign it there. I've just put the bio into the chat section. Remember, if you want to read tonight, you can put a note to me in the chat section. And also, I'm letting somebody in. Also, if you have any questions for Claudine, or if there's phrases that resonate with you, put it in the chat section. I'll make sure to circle back. And with no further ado, I am turning it over to you. I'm gonna put the spotlight on. And I know that's always like a moment, but we'll still be there. You can still see us.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for having me and for everyone. I'm seeing all familiar faces popping up. So thank you so much for coming, everyone. So I'm going to read a selection from Beginner's Guide. I don't know if you can see it. Lost in the Multiverse. So this was a collection that I wrote over a number of years while I was working on other projects. I was doing this on the side. And it's a collection of poems set in the multiverse. So it's basically a fictional love story that's told over and over again on different universes. So sometimes the universes look dramatically different in setting. Other times the setting might be similar, but it's the outcome of the story that keeps changing. But what's really consistent throughout the whole collection is just the universal experience of love and loss and longing. I was looking to write something that really connects all of us. So without further ado, I'll start with some poems from the first section, which were poems where the universes appeared very different. Okay, so I'll read the title poem first. Beginner's Guide to Loss in the Multiverse, Universe 415. I accept this challenge of surrendering all of you. Every notion of us that could exist in some other time or space, but recklessly allow myself 2 pieces of light. The one that burst from your eyes the day we watched the dust whirl and saw all our lives at once. Then later, those particles that slipped around you as you stepped into the distance. I tell you, never try to pocket a photon. Weeks afterward, these memories split into 10,000 streams that flooded my sleep, spilling bands of hazel and loss into the night. Classic rookie mistake. Okay. All right. The next one, in fact, through my psychology work, I've often noticed that it's often much easier to leave a situation or a person angry than it is sad. So this one is called Plastic Endings, Universe 11,098.
Endings.
A friend let it slip that she later walked in on you playing with my micro robots. This scrap of unexpected intelligence admittedly made me cry. A steel-eyed diminutive pair, 1/2 inch in height, their invasion of your fingertips had launched the tail end of our false parting. Synapses charged with disquiet, I pitched their handoff without any particular elegance or aim, blurting some absurdity like, "Take these buggers with you," because I couldn't ask you to keep them in a sad and hollowed place.
Mm.
You needn't have been so scared. Okay. This one is called Since You Left, Universe 11,099. Today, I walked in on the house robot whispering your favorite sonnet. This, after tracing your name in day-old oil all along the attic walls. I try to comfort her, though she would sooner see me swallowed by the moon. I lay my hand upon the crack in her back that she suffered the first time you took her ice skating. But she spits obscene strings of zeros at me as though I am a pile of wasted silicon, as though my heart isn't already twisted into a mournful jumble of spent circuits, as if I alone could have stopped you from running. Okay, so
This is so fun.
okay, yeah. This one, same title, same story, slightly different universe. Since You Left, Universe 11,100. The toothless pterosaur you used to feed keeps crying for your cold corn and sardine soup. I spent the morning in the side garden grinding insects, dicing scallions and bits of fresh fish. Yet still he spits my sorry excuse of a stew into the dunes. I fear time is finding him growing thin and ornery. It's not my intent to make another suffer hunger, but I must admit, I love the way his wings make wind when he takes off bothered and empty-bellied. Tomorrow, I will tuck your recipe book back under my mattress and bring him a basket of bread soaked in salt water instead. I thought you both knew I'm not much of a cook. Okay. These are very fun to write, by the way. You know? So it's my hope during the pandemic that maybe they can allow people to escape for a little bit to an alternate reality. You know? Okay, this one's called Fingertips. Universe 11,197. Today, I am thinking mostly of your hands, or rather the way I like to watch them when you were typing or tying knots or otherwise occupied, and how a story seems to rise from your fingertips when you touch certain colors or cottons or the other types of soft fabrics that I tend to want to crawl under. Today, This story is a warm orange and smells something like marigolds. It twists and turns for a rocky bit, but overall is quite beautiful and has the type of cozy ending that you would want to wrap around yourself when trying to get to sleep on a cold planet, or maybe just a plain old regular planet. But on a night like this, when the steps can't stop creaking. Okay. Thanks. This is a shorty. This one's called I Pass You an Empty Sky. Universe 3,027,217. I just love when I pass you an empty sky and you spin it, then hand me back a fistful of stars. Okay. All right. I'll just read one more from this section and then this one is called Pretend That You Are Talking. Universe 3,082,018. Pretend that you are talking just to me. I will kneel here while you tell me all about the stars stuck in your heart. You can loosen your tongue and let their cold light spill into the space between us. I will listen to your quiet wind rise. I will stay here when this storm fills your mouth with ice and sky. You can bring your lips near and let the dark slip into my ear. Pretend I see nothing untouchable. Pretend that I am holding all these icy parts of you. That when I look at you, or that when I look you in the eye, I am watching wild grass sway. I am touching a stunning bit of night. Okay. Thank you. So I'll read just a few from the another section of the book. So in that section, again, this setting in the universes all look pretty different. In this section, the setting is the same. It's a set of poems that take place in the same magnolia grove, but a la the multiverse. The outcome of the story differs slightly in each of the poems. Okay, so this one's called Magnolias, Universe 1071. Listen, I need to say just once in this lifetime that when I look at you, I see a landscape alive and soaked in magnolias, where I find myself home in fields I have never and always known, to which each and every turn I return. Okay. The next one, thanks. Magnolias, Universe 1072. I look at you, and at once all the gaps and restless spaces in me settle into this landscape. I drift home wrapped in a blanket of magnolias. Magnolias, Universe 1073. I offer you an empty field soaked in cold and drained of color. You fill the bare and icy spaces with magnolias. And lastly, Magnolias Universe 1074. You looked up, and deep beneath the rocks and stones and bones of you, I saw a field I know I've traveled, a magnificent landscape more alive than any orchard. I tried to slip under a blanket of magnolia blooms, but you turned your head towards the night. Okay. All right. Thanks. So maybe, if I have a couple of minutes, more minutes, I'll just read a few poems. Okay, thank you. I'll just read a few poems for my chapbook, Things for Which You Thirst. I'm gonna get the light in there. So this book was due to be released last spring, but because of the pandemic, the release was delayed. And ironically, both books came out on the same weekend. And, I put the emphasis on the full length, so this one didn't get much attention. So I'll just read a few from this one. So this one, Things for Which You Thirst, it's a collection of poems about connection. Whether it be connection to our emotions, connection to the natural world, or ourselves, or our interrelatedness. Again, it was intended to help us cope with the division that we've been living with, for the past few years. So I'll read a few from this one. So this one was inspired by the 2016 election, and having to wake my daughter up. She was at the time 7 years old and was a staunch Hillary supporter because she really wanted a girl to be president. So this one was inspired by having to wake her up and give her the news the next morning. So my daughter's room. Last night, while my daughter dreamt that the wind was brushing past her uncut skin as it streamed through all the shattered skylights, the country crept in and replastered the open ceiling. All right. Let's see, I'll just read one. Okay, this one is a poem just, again, about our interconnectedness. It's called Healing the World, Step 1. Treat the world as though it is a lost stranger who wanders onto your porch, confused and wounded, hair full of leaves. Offers space on the wicker love seat, perhaps a cup of freshly steeped tea. Wipe the thick streaks of dirt from her forehead, and behold the self you have yet to meet. Let her mumble her forest of grievances, lend voice to the troubles that are crumbling between her teeth. Soothe the pains that may one day be your own. Then pass your stranger a piece of hope woven from a patch of river reeds. Place your lips near her ear and whisper a nest of starlings, a clear and heartfelt stream. And then, thanks. I'll read, I'll read one more, if that's okay. Sure, okay. This one is also about our interconnectedness. This one is called Sitting Zazen on the Downtown 4 Train. Wherever you are in your small corner, there's a train rolling through you, carrying all the beings who have ever loved the dull colors of something or someone to life. And though the walls of your room may be worn and thick with neglect, if you stretch this moment so thin that the enemy in your head can't whisper, you may feel the cars of this train speed through all the empty stations you have ever known. So much so that when you glance at the strangers who pass through this dim and icy morning, the deepest tints within you start to vibrate. You detect the secret sound the world makes when it speaks all its languages at once. Thank you. Okay.
I would have you keep going.
What's that?
Keep going.
Keep going?
I
Okay.
said I would have you keep going. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Felt like yeah, but Mary Lou just said perfect ending poem. It is a gorgeous ending poem. And Claudine, I did not realize you also had the chapbook out, and I love that they're very different flavors. That was just
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Thank
I had
you.
a question that I just can't wait to ask. You know, some of your poems had an element of synesthesia to them, and they were just fabulous. Is that something you consciously? Yes, gosh, I love it. It was just gorgeous because it
I
was
just love.
texture,
Yeah.
and then it just. I love how that worked. Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that's
I love to
awesome.
play
Yeah,
with
and
the
it was very
absurd
delightful.
and. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
Well, you missed a lot of the yeah. So we now have questions. So we know that the full length can be bought from Blue Light Press. Where would you suggest getting the chapbook from?
Yeah, it's also on Amazon. That one was released by Weasel Press, but I think either through them or through Amazon. You know.
Okay, awesome. Because Mary Lou was asking, and I wanted to go over some of the beautiful comments that people had. Yeah, so you know, everybody was commenting too. Just the lovely. Okay, you said that you got joy while you were writing. And I have to say that joy, and other people notice it too, is evident when you read. It's a beautiful playfulness that is very enjoyable.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
great humor. And then Karen wrote, never try to pocket a photon. Great advice.
Thank you. I usually get the idea.
And then,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I want to hear
no.
this.
I usually like a quirky image that makes me laugh will pop into my head, and then I know that's the next poem. You know, so I like to have fun with it.
Oh, I love that. So that is oftentimes what sparks a poem is just like a quirk, because I love how your mind thinks. And I love some of the images like the house robot, and just, you can really feel the joy and the pleasure you had while writing these worlds, these universes. And I love that it's, you know, the second section with Magnolia, that there's a repeating element that connects them, but that there's different ways how that shows up. And it makes me think of a dreamscape in a lot of ways. Hearing you, yeah. Dana said the fun is infectious. And then Karen said these poems are so much fun. I love all the surprises in the details.
Thank you.
Susan said, love the wit of these poems. And then, of course, you'll see which lines really resonated. But I passed you an empty sky. I think 3 of us wrote, that was a gorgeous poem. Hand me back, fistful of stars. I mean, it just sticks with you. So if people have questions, we're pretty loose around here. Just jump in, because we have Claudine here. We can ask, we can pick her brain and see how she builds these poems. We were talking about process, Claudine, and I know you and I were saying that now has not been a real productive time as far as writing, but obviously having a full length out and a chapbook, you were really having a stream going on. How do you catch that, or what happened with those 2 books?
Yeah. You know, when well, actually, for Beginner's Guide, you know, I have 2 other full-length collections that, and I like for the books to have a theme, you know, so the one before this was The Wild Essential, which was a collection of poems about connecting to your authentic self. And then my very first one with Parts Per Trillion, where it was a collection of poems about loss and the liberation of letting go of all the little things we hold on to that we should let go. So as I was writing those, I was doing Beginner's Guide on the side, because that one, you know, I wanted each universe to look a little different or to be a twist. So I was just letting them come to me as I was doing the others. But when I'm at my most productive self, I have a pattern of writing. Like, so I was getting up every morning at 5:30 before the rest of, the house wakes up, before the neighborhood wakes up, before I have to go to work. I find I'm my most optimistic first thing in the morning before the world gets to me, so that's when I could write something that's funny and uplifting, so I would get up every morning, walk the dogs, and write. And there was something about the neighborhood being empty and feeling, like it cleared a space in me, for these poems to come out. So I haven't been able to do that so much lately, and I notice it does affect my creativity, my productivity, but.
I can't hear you.
Oh, did you lose me?
Might be my internet connection.
Oh, I'm still, can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Now I can. Yeah,
Okay,
I think
good,
it was my
good.
internet connection.
Okay. I'm good.
But I love that your process was, writing in the morning time and walking around the neighborhood. And I was wondering, because you said this book took several years, so you were just working on other projects. So you juggle different projects and you can feel that they belong in different books, which I think is fascinating, because that takes a lot of juggling.
Yeah, I'm just, I need to be organized. So I'm like, so there's something about organizing something around a central theme that helps me, and I could think, okay, I haven't done something like this would fit here, or this could fit there. And I also get a little bit on the obsessive side with things. So like when I'm working with a theme, I can like go through, like every angle of it, so. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. And this is a very good question that Mary Lou has. Do you have a trusted reader? So do you have someone that you turn your poems to?
I do. I have a friend who, will be very frank with me. I have a couple of friends who are really helpful. Pre-pandemic, I see Carolyn and Susan, my friends from my local open mic night group are here. And I would also, try out a lot of the pieces there. We have a really fun local writing community where I am. So those are my writing buddies, so but that I do.
So you have some of your writing buddies here. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make sure that I haven't missed any questions. So if somebody wants to jump in, please do.
Oh,
let me see. I've got one more message.
Oh,
jump in, Karen.
Can you talk about how you landed on the publishers for these collections and what that was like? It seems like they're so different. They're not published. Are they published by the same people?
No. So, I froze here. Okay, there I am. So my first two full lengths, which I'm also more than happy to read a couple if we run out of time from those. But those were published by Kelsay Books. Who I just came across some other collections that looked like a similar style of writing, so I had submitted to them, and it's a lovely publishing company. Then Beginner's Guide, I saw the call for the book prize, and they were looking for poems that were full of images and quirky writing, and I thought it sounded a lot like the collection, like the quirkiness of it. So I said, well, let me just take a shot and send that in, and then it won. So it was just a good fit. It's basically just all about fit, and I usually, if I'm looking at a publisher, I'll try and check out, one or two of their books or their poets, and just see if it's my style is a good match for what they publish.
And that's a lot of work. And obviously, you've had good success matching your work with publishers who, really are going to uplift them. And you were talking about how Diane called you to let you know about the award. And I love that because that was a bit of good news in a very difficult time.
Yes, I literally stepped out of a very dark, pandemic meeting, to take the call and walked back in, and I felt like I was holding this little hidden piece of light, so it came at a wonderful time.
Yes, and especially because at that time there was no way to know what the trajectory was.
Right, yeah.
And working inpatient and having people get sick and having to deal with that, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
So we are grateful that you bring the joy, and I'm glad you write in the morning when you're still in that place of exploring worlds. But the synesthesia I just enjoyed so thoroughly. It was just gorgeous. Yeah, see, and can you okay. Plus your anthologies is what Susan's saying.
Oh,
and
okay.
These are ones
I edited. So I edited 3 books. When I find when I'm not writing, I like to edit. Also, so I did one with Madness Muse Press, or two actually, but one which was really close to my heart is called Destigmatized. And that was a collection of poems written by people who are living with mental illness, but it was a collection about resiliency. And again, it was meant to inspire hope. So that was a really fun one. And then I also did one with Transcendent Press recently, called Epiphanies and Late Realizations of Love. And that was a collection of love poems from 60 poets from around the world. And again, our purpose in that was, again, just to connect everyone, given everything that we were going through.
That's amazing that you've done those anthologies, Claudine. And what I'm impressed by is that you work and you're raising your daughter and writing so much of your own work, and then also creating these anthologies. And also, I have to say, and I'm sure other people are noticing this, is just your desire to bring joy and connection and increase resilience is really beautiful. I really am enjoying that about you. I can see why John said, I just love her personality and her writing. That's true. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Now there's anthologies. You said Madness Muse, and what was the other one?
Transcendent Zero Press was the other one. That was, yeah.
Transcendent Zero Press.
Yeah.
And Susan, you had a question?
No, I wanted her to mention the anthologies.
Yeah, Susan's in a couple.
Well, mainly I wanted to.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I didn't miss things.
But, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good reminder. And so I wasn't sure if I had missed a question with that. That is awesome. Well, thank you so very much, Claudine. Thoroughly enjoyable. I kind of want to hear that one poem over again, the very short one.
Sure.
Yes, hand me with the I Pass You an Empty Sky, if you don't mind.
Oh, my pleasure. And actually, if I have a minute, I would love to share. I have a really short one that's like my favorite poem from the other book. I could
do it. I would love it.
Thank you.
I would love to hear anything.
Because there's a fun story with that one right now, so that's why I went. Okay, so this one's called I Passed You an Empty Sky, Universe 3,027,217. I just love when I pass you an empty sky and you spin it, then hand me back a fistful of stars.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just love it. I could hear that every day.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. But I just wanted, if I can, like go back to the, I just share, this is a really short one because this is a fun story that I just found out about recently. Apparently, there's a project that I hadn't heard about called Writers on the Moon. And it's 125 writers. They pulled, like they entered a lottery to have their work uploaded to a digital card that's going to actually be launched and put in a time capsule on the moon in the fall. And those 125 who won slots were encouraged to include anthologies they were also published in to increase the number of writers whose works represented. And just by luck, one of the 125 is including an anthology that I also had a couple of poems in. So my poems are going to the moon.
Wow.
So this is one that's going. And it happened to be like one of my favorite poems. So I was like so happy that it was this one. So this one came from my first collection, Parts Per Trillion, which was again about loss and letting go of the things that we hold on to. It's called Sea Glass, because I always thought as a psychologist, I always thought sea glass just was the perfect metaphor for how loss becomes less cutting over time. Okay. So this one's called Sea Glass. At some point, you began the process of becoming sea glass. Hazel green shards of torn bottle, nursed on algae and kelp, twisted to sleep by channels of lenient sand, who draw your surface from memory, erasing the outline of your eyes in half speed until they no longer pull at my fingerprints. Cast into the sound in May, I will find you between mussels and an icy foam, when I can run my finger down your side, pick you up in my ungloved hand. Okay, thanks.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow, that's really powerful.
Thank you. So that one's going to sit on the moon.
Fantastic. I love that. That just makes me happy. That's really cool that that's one that one of your favorite ones, and it's going to be on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary Lou just said, thank you. Love that poem. Yeah. I love how tenderly you hold that poem too. I mean, it really works on so many levels. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you. This has been such a pleasure.
It's a great group of people, and I will send the chat section because I really want. Dana just said thank you. It was wonderful. It was
thank you. One of my old friends.
People feel free to unmute and talk because I think that's part. We've got her here, and I love to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Claudine, I had another question. I'm just curious, since you have your books there, can you hold them up and just talk about like the covers? I'm curious.
Absolutely. So the first two covers, I don't know if you can see these. Okay, are done by the same artist. I collaborated with an artist named Carlos Monteagudo, incredibly talented artist, on a gallery exhibit at a local college near us. It was called 1,000 Words. And we worked together for 2 years. And what I would sometimes write a poem in response to a piece of his artwork. And sometimes he would do the artwork in response to my poem, or sometimes we would pick a topic and then each go in our own direction. And then he displayed the originals, and then he also made a Photoshop version of it with the poem embedded in it, because some of them were oils. And so these are both poems that were in the covers that were in that. So that was Carlos. And then the beginner's guide, we went with the Blue Light Press found the image for me and sent that, and
those are gorgeous.
I love it. And then Things for Which You Thirst, the publisher had also come up with that one. I don't know if you could see it, but we went through a few for this one until we found this image, which really resonated to me. this idea of, like thirsting for connection, and tree being nourished. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
I'm so glad you asked that question, Karen.
Yeah.
Hear about the story for all the covers.
Yeah, I'm always
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah, that's the exciting. And then I didn't bring. I have another chapbook. It was my very first chapbook is called "The Problem with Loving Ghosts." So,
Oh my
which
God.
a lot of those poems were republished in parts per trillion. So I didn't bring that chapbook with me. With me downstairs, as if I'm somewhere else.
You go to for vacation, or I'm
Right,
going down to the yoga studio. It's all the garage. That's really
right. But that one was also like a very desolate image, a bit ghost-like, oh my God. Yeah. I had that issue as well. They were squeaking their toys before we started. I had to confiscate them. They're
They
squeaky
always
toys.
went to time out before the reading.
So.
I love your dogs.
I
Everybody
post them all. I basically post two things on Facebook repeatedly, which is poetry and my dogs.
say, and both
Your
of
dogs
us-
look so serious sometimes, though, really.
Aw.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you. And I do want to say I didn't have anybody sign up for open mic, but I will, if y'all would like to read, we'd love to hear you. It's a nice supportive group.
Mhm.
I am shocked. Laura and Karen and Christy and John,
All right, I'll read something.
jump
Do
in.
you need me to read?
Yes, of course, always.
Okay.
Okay,
You might not, or
You want to do?
who's gonna read first?
Well, I will let Karen read first and then come to you. Would that work?
Yes.
Works for me.
Awesome.
Okay, I got a little bit shorter and a little longer. Which one? I'll go for this. All right, first. The first seed was a fist, clenching against the dark still of soil, and then a splitting of open. The first root was a testing of tentacle, a seeking of anything. The first sprout was a waking of up. The first leaf was a stretching of out, was a wander of wonder, was the dream unfurling first.
Oh, that makes you want
That's
spring
all.
so bad.
Right?
I hope that's an incantation that you're going to call spring to us.
If I had that power, I would be doing it, man. If it gets any better outside, it's like there's not even any soil anymore. It's all just water.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a mud farmer at this point. That really is true.
I think we all are.
Thank you, Karen.
No, in Virginia, it's a sheet of ice.
I'm
Oh,
so sorry.
Next week we'll be flooded. Right now it's snow, but once it all thaws, and then it's just supposed to rain for like 4 days next week. So it's just gonna be an ocean.
That is just so hard. I made your spotlight, John.
All right, and I don't know if you'll be able to see me, so sorry, because my laptop's in my bedroom and I gotta go out. But I'm gonna read a super new poem. I'm working on a new collection for the Ghost City Press competition thingy. And then it's like 12 poems, but I'm gonna continue writing them because I'm really loving these poems. So here's one of the poems. Can you still hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Yes.
Okay. My house is a tomb of shadows, memories, ghosts. The floorboards smooth from decades of feet pushing their fibers into a pattern of wear. The walls torn and rebuilt and drywalled. Layers of wallpaper and pages of life decorated and destroyed. The ceiling watching and breaking and being replastered. My house is a documentary, untelevised, unwritten, a secret. It grows, it holds us like children and helps us learn to live, protecting us, watching. It grows us and kills us and buries us and waits to be filled. The empty only a symptom. That's all. That's the poem.
I was going to say, and there's our traditional ending. Thank you, John. I really enjoyed hearing about the house, and the tactile really was having me going for a while. I was like, oh, those are some great images. That is lovely.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to read? We'd love to have you. Christy, you're being awfully quiet.
I'm gonna pass tonight. It was crazy, but I'll read next time.
No, checking that we don't miss you. All right, guys. Well, thank y'all for another lovely evening. And Claudine, congratulations on two, not just one, but two books during the pandemic, and for reading from. But I feel like we got doubly treated. I adored it, and I am going to type out that one poem and place it someplace. I just am delighted by it. I love it. It brings me joy. And I have a feeling that is something that is a gift that you have and that you share. And so I feel like we really got to benefit from it.
Thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. And it was so nice to meet all of your wonderful
Thank
group.
you. Oh, it was beautiful.
Mary Lou just said that should be a broadside. It would be a lovely broadside. You should talk to your artist friend about illustrating it, since you'll have done that. That would be a fabulous.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a T-shirt, to be honest. That actually would be a lovely broadside. Really good idea, Mary Lou. And since you have the artist friend, when you do that, post it on Facebook and tag me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we get to say hi to Claudine's dad, Stanley, so we can all say hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Very enjoyable.
Thanks.
It must be wonderful to hear her read.
Never fail to listen.
He just got his second dose of the vaccine.
Oh, yay, Stanley, that's fabulous. Oh,
Yep.
Oh, wow. You're brave. You're really brave. I'm chicken. I'm glad they haven't called me yet. I'm chicken.
Now do it.
yeah. My dad has had his first, and I'm waiting for the second one.
Yeah.
And then at some point we'll start talking about seeing each other maybe this summer.
Yeah. I know.
That's because it's been a year now.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, but I have to keep it safe, and I was still I have kids that are college students and stuff like that, so could not go see them. All right, guys. Well,
Claudine, my guy's here. He says hi.
It was lovely seeing all the
That's
dogs.
his schnoz. Say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
We should have had a bring your animal night. That would have been lovely.
Yeah.
We should do that one time. Although I've seen Karen's cats plenty of times.
Yeah, I don't know where she is.
Yeah, she didn't want to, and then Claudine had her dogs. I don't allow any down here, but I did have turkeys in here for a while. Baby.
He's better looking than I am.
Yeah. He's an awesome dog.
He's very distinguished, really.
He looks like the type of dog who might enjoy a bow tie.
I think he would enjoy a bow tie. I always tease him, that someday, I'm going to get married and he's going to come and he's going to wear a bow tie.
See, he already has that in his head.
I've been saying that for like, I don't know, 4 years now, I guess. I think I've had him about 4 years. He's a real rural dog. I took him in from somebody that adopted him, and it was too much. He was too much for them. And he's like a really rural dog. Like he's good at being off leash. Doesn't like being on a leash. He's very like road savvy. And I was shoveling the driveway, and he just like ran across the street to greet my neighbor who was shoveling, and like came back, and he did it twice. He tried first time I whistled and he came back. The second time I just was like, okay, I let him greet him, and I went and got him, and it was so cool. My neighbor was fine with it. He's very 1970s about dogs. It was a really nice moment. It reminded me of my childhood. It was a really
I was
nice
going to say that could be one of those moments that you want to run for a second, because some people, but I live in the country, so
yeah.
The worst thing my dog does is eat a lot of chicken poo.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Yes, indeed. Well, y'all have been a delightful group, Claudine. Thank you for bringing your friends. I very much enjoyed them. Thank you once again. That was just lovely. And I look forward to seeing other books and sending you good mojo for the rest of your week. You only got one more day, and then hoping that I'm glad you're where you are, bringing joy to patients, people that are suffering. And now more than ever, I think that level of grief and just kind of communal trauma, having people like you in this world makes me happy. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much.
Be well. And thank you for writing poems for us. All right, guys.
It was nice to hear you.
Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.